Alright. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so once our run here, the reason for that is our first 4 fights, a lot of it's going to boil down to RNG patterns that we get from them. And most of his attacks are guardable. There are going to be a select few attacks like this wind attack that he does here, which we want to avoid because we cannot guard the attack, unfortunately. If we get hit by the attack, it knocks away all our commands, and we have to regather them. Otherwise, we're just left with a basic kit here. And with us also playing on crit, most everything is going to be leaving us at 1 HP, as everything hurts like no tomorrow. But for the most part, instead of guarding against certain attacks, I'm just going to dash towards Mysterious Figure here, as it's an opportunity for me to follow up quickly with the Thunder Surge, which is going to be our main usage of ability here, as is our strongest ability. We're now into the later part of this fight, which is scary time. Unfortunate. We can no longer target lock once he goes in Biz. The thing with this fight is he can go full kill mode, which is what he did there. He has an attack, I call it the Doom Tether. You basically get 3 chances with it. If you get caught... because it has a timer to count that counts down for you to be able to break out of it, but if he does it consecutively, or at least a total of 3 times, once that timer hits 0 on that attack, and right now he's just kind of not cooperating with us here. Which is why this is our opening fight in the sequence, because this fight is definitely one of the hardest ones to do because of the fact that he can just go full kill mode at any time. Regardless of if you got second chance and once more, he does not care about that. I would definitely say, probably out of all the fights I've ever done in the series so far, this is definitely up there for one of the toughest fights, especially with Terra, because for Terra, the crazy thing with Terra is you unfortunately can't really guard consistently against a lot of attacks, because Terra's guard is head on. His little slide dashes here that we do also make it real tough to... I did the wrong thing there. Calm the nerves a little bit. Frame through a lot of attacks, so you have to be very precise in what we're doing to be able to avoid a lot of attacks and also movement here. That attack that he uses there, the clones, is a very deadly maneuver. So I typically will just Thunder Surge that attack, because if you allow his clones to stick around long enough, you risk getting stun locked, because his clones can blitz you with a lot of attacks until you end up getting stun locked, and by the time that you get stun locked, there is no way to break out of it, unfortunately, and you will end up being knocked out. His little tether attack that he does there to launch into the air, it's no big deal. I usually will use that if I'm in a critical HP situation. I'll use that time to heal, because it's very easy to break out of, to where you won't get hit by it. So now we're into the state of him being invis again here. I'm gonna play this a little safe here and just kind of heal and just take this, or I'm gonna be dumb and slide dash. like I said, this is definitely one of the toughest fights. That was just a silly thing on my part. I really didn't have any reason to slide dash away there. I honestly misread his lasers, thinking that they were actually done there. So that was just a bit of an oversight on my part. Like I said, this fight, it's a fun fight. It's definitely got its little fun things, and it's also got its moments where you just want to rip your hair out because you're just like, dude, what can I do to get past you? Because I've been at this for a while with doing like this kind of run, and let me tell you, this like getting a consistent run out of him just to get things going is so difficult. The other thing too is I like to keep him close to a wall because at least with him being closer to a wall, it's easier to blitz him with Thunder Surges because you can't see his HP gate or you can't see his health. You can't, so you have to basically track him the whole entire time that he's invis there. He will come out of invisibility at some point, but you have to. But you have to hope that. There we go. I let my phone go dark. But you have to hope that you've done a decent amount of damage while he's invis. Up in the gauntlet here is our second hardest fight. We're going to be using a lovely item called Daisy Sorbet, which is going to put us into the strongest form in this game called Rhythm Mixer. And I'll honestly explain it real quick before we dive into the fight. So Rhythm Mixer is the strongest form in it, especially its finisher. The little item there called Daisy Sorbet automatically puts us in two of these to get the finisher out here. And now we're going to dodge 7 times, 3. We're going to jump. We're going to bait out of this attack here and go into a finisher. When he does this little disappearing act, it's the one thing we don't want. The problem with him disappearing like that is a lot of our damage is just gone and nullified because he's basically just faking you out the whole entire time. So we want to hope that he's not doing that attack. Unfortunately, he's doing that quite a lot here, so we're going to have to kind of... We want him doing this little spinning attack because him staying there like that allows us to really punish him. If he stays there the entire time, you're able to take him out with just... And otherwise, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's just kind of staying... It was just a straight up physical attack. And then I discovered runner that does plat runs by the name of Desta35, or Survey strat for that fight, and kind of been running with it since. I came up with this strat a while back because I was wondering how I could really speed things up. The old way I used to do this was using Thunder Surges until I got into this form, and then I got the form right away. But unfortunately we missed out because he was in a weird spot. This is another fight that comes down to RNG as far as like attack patterns go. I'm gonna heal up because the maneuver that he will do, he'll do a blitz of attacks, and then he'll launch you into the air, into an orb, and by that time, your second... Oh, that's unfortunate. I need him to come here, which he's not. By that point, your second chance ability is null and void, and his next attack will full-on take you out, so it's... At that point, it's something I do as a precaution of healing. Basically, anything below half health, I always want to make sure just to avoid the chance that he does that attack. And our last fight for the BBS portion of this gauntlet run. His actual name in BBS is No Heart, but for those that play the KH series, will recognize him better as Armornort from KH2, because that's the same figure you see and will fight. Same figure you will see and fight for final fights in 2 of them. And so after popping my surveys there, I'm going to go ahead and do a shot lock to quickly knock out the, I call it the mirror, it's the hilt of the Keyblade. And that's the first phase of this fight. A good while back, is this fight than it is now, because the HP on this thing was a monstrosity. Like, we're talking probably another 10 or 12 bars total. It hurt like no tomorrow, because these fights were intended to be done with multiple people, instead of how now, where with the remasters, the luxury of having that. So now it's to compensate for the... Wow. To compensate for all of that, it's now their HP's lowered, but they still hurt like no tomorrow, because they are super bosses. And for the most part throughout this fight, we're going to be utilizing the Daisy Survey again. Armornort does hurt as well, like no tomorrow. Coming up here in this little section of this fight, we're going to have to be really careful and go into our shot lock. That attack that he does there is essentially, that's a problem. We might die here. So we're just going to have to dodge. That he did there is very bad. The reason it's very bad is along the lines of Sephiroth's Sin Harvest attack, for those that are familiar with fighting Sephiroth in 1FM. Stopped. Unlike Sin Harvest. Okay, we're going in for the kill here with the shot lock. But yeah, his attack that he did there, where the screen like turned red, and basically like a rendition of Sin Harvest that's just unstoppable. So if you either are in a shot lock or do it in the middle of a finisher, those are the only two ways that I've noticed on how you can avoid that attack connecting. I don't think, I haven't had the chance to really try it out, but I think even a timed Kiraga with Leaf Bracer being active does not avoid the attack. So it's just safer to do that wiped and refreshed. And your shot lock is also wiped out. So that was the Birth by Sleep portion. And what I did there after the fight, instead of having to go to a save point and exiting the game, Birth by Sleep and 1FM has a soft reset that we do. And that's how, as soon as I am done with the fight, I immediately do the soft reset and move on to the next section, which is now our 1FM fights. So our first fight, good old Sephiroth. We're going to hopefully bully him. Not off to a good start here because he is moving around a lot, which is not what we want to have doing. We want him to be doing an attack, which is his Fire Pillar attack, because it allows us to just continuously punish him with Ars Arcanum here. Of the Fire Pillar, like so. And then once we get down to the start of him showing... Oh, didn't get it, unfortunately. Once you get down deep into the yellow bar, which is the second to the last bar, he will teleport and power up. There is a way to bypass his DM, but it's very tight on the time. Which, like I said, it's a very tough thing. Even if you manage to achieve the start of the DM skip, he'll still toy with your heart, and he'll teleport and go into his DM anyway. The reason that I have this set up the way that I do, so correctly, the first time that you beat Sephiroth and leave the Coliseum, which is what we'll be doing here after this fight, there is an unskippable cutscene between... That's heal. That's not gravity. There's an unskippable cutscene between Cloud and Sephiroth. And so I have Sephiroth already beaten on here, so that I can bypass that cutscene. And then I have Ice Titan just set up. I have Ice Titan set up to where he's still shown as a question mark because it gives you going through all the fun stuff of sitting there waiting for it to roll in like it did after the fight as well, for all that to roll on by. And so it's just a little quicker. So here, we're mostly going to be fighting Ice Titan here from afar, and using his icicles against him. Our real punishment is once we knock him unconscious, which we do after we hit him back with enough icicles or do enough damage to get to that point. Which right now, it's not going super well. He's kind of messing with me here a little bit. The big attack, we might actually be looking for here after the fact is an AoE attack, which is a giant freeze that he'll do. And once Ice Titan recovers here, we're going to hit him with a few thunders. And you're probably wondering, on him? Well, most of the other thing that folks are why we're not using a magic ability called those that are familiar with KH1. The reason for that is Aroga turns the that will not that are unable to be deflected back due to the fact that we're using either Aurora or Aroga, and that's because they were smart enough to make it to where you couldn't just cast either of those two spells to have the ability to just basically auto-reflect the projectiles back. Magic on yourself, then we're just going to turn around and make it to where you can't actually deflect them. So our next fight here is Kurt Ziza. This is a very interesting fight, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to pull this off. Being able to use any kind of magic or anything like that until we destroy his hands. Once we do that, we're going to have Goofy go in like no tomorrow with Tornado here. I'm going to use a bunch of gravities and hope that Goofy continues. And hopefully we can get this one phase. Yes! The first time that I ever managed to pull that off, I thought it was a fluke. And then replicatable. It just, which luckily we were able to pull off there. Recovering, there's a chance that you're going to end up losing just from him recovering like that. Oop. So now, it's time to kick back and what do we got here? Blizzard? Okay, I couldn't quite tell there. So now it's time to kick back and relax for the next 4 minutes. That's basically all that there is to say really about this fight. There's 4 different attacks that will be shown for that orb on Phantom here. If it's white, it's a physical attack. If it's blue, it is Blizzard. If it's red, it's Fire. And yellow is Thunder. We do 3 orbs for a total of 6 times before he goes back to the clock tower here. Does this little attack that he does, but funny thing to bypass it, we just sit off to the side of the clock tower here. This fight basically also execution of the orbs that are given to you. I joke around, but I'm also serious at the same time. It's still a very technical part because you can find yourself losing a lot of time if you're not staying on top of things here. The magic aspect. So in my shortcut, I have Thundaga, Graviga, and Kiraga shortcutted for a number of reasons. So I have to manually do Blizzard and Fire in order for me to kind of be fast, because it takes longer for me to menu those versus just manually doing the magic. And thankfully, the nice thing with 1FM is it has a memory system of the last spell. Find yourself, doing 3 Blizzagas without having to menu from Fire down to Blizzard each and every single time. It's something that I'm doing here to kind of help keep Phantom under control from running about is after the initial attack that he does when we break him the first go around here, is I rotate towards the clock and back around, so that way his back is always to and that I think allows him to get back into that position a lot quicker, to speed it up going into that next attack. And as you can see, Panda's no longer on our screen here, and that's because he is perma-gone until the end of this fight. That's the unique mechanic of this fight, is the clock tower is basically a giant doom counter. That once the clock strikes 0 for that partner, they're removed from the fight for the remainder of the time until it gets down to just Sora. And you have. And it's perfect timing for Goofy being gone because, fun fact is, even if you're at 1 HP for Phantom, since everything is in a cycle of 6 in total, if Goofy deals the last hit on the 6th orb, with it being a physical attack, you'll have to do another sequence of Phantom going to the tower. So you want to intentionally have Goofy get removed from the game by possibly interfering with the fight. And yeah, that was Phantom Fight. So now coming up is our last fight for the 1FM section. Once again, we're going to be fighting Unknown, who's just another time period for all the Xehanorts and Anthems. This happens to basically just be a small insight to Xehanort, or not Xehanort, Xemnas for 2FM based on the we're be utilizing Ars Arcanum a lot for this because it gives us iframes here. Once we get into a certain health state here with him, I'm going to be doing a combination of... I let it happen, unfortunately. This is worst case scenario, but we were able to break out of it. Once you get down about almost to his second bar of health, he will do a lockout mechanic similar to Lingering Will, where you get locked out of it. You cannot use any commands, you cannot use magic, nothing, but the difference here is it will slowly drain your health until you're dead. And on Proud Mode, that thing ticks very quickly. We're getting a good combination here. Here with his attack. So normally, we're never seeing his health be this low by the time that he goes into his TM state. But we're going to have him sit here on this corner because his next attack here is always counterclockwise. And I position him like that so that coming out of his attack, he's already up against the wall and in a corner for the most part, to where I can punish him as... Oop, wrong thing. So I can immediately punish him as soon as his DM is over. Now, on to the final section. We have technically 16 fights left. I say 16 because we have a two-parter. But overall, we have 15 we have 15 people that we have left in our run. First up is going to be 2FM version of Sephiroth here. And so, the way I've got this set up, which will make more sense here after this fight, I have 3 individual save files set up, all for its own. Which again I'll make very clear after this fight. So here we're going to open up with a full ground combo here, and I'm going to finish cancel and go straight into limit form here. We're going to do a full ground combo into Zenitsuken. And that allows us to really put a punishing on Sephiroth here. Now we're going to do Reflect, Slap Shot, Reflect. Unfortunately, it didn't do it. I was dropping an input there, but basically after he powers up, once you get down to about 4.5 bars, combo called a Reflect, Slap Shot, Reflect, or RSR for short. All the way from that health state down to 0. So the reasoning now for having the individual save files, our next fight is Lingering Will, and we're going to be using a very, very cheesy strat, beating Sephiroth. And you have to go through a lot of other shenanigans just to get this Keyblade. Therefore, I have these files set up so that it's fine. Therefore, I have these files set up to where I already have the Fender Keyblade, which gives us negative combo, and I don't have to go through all the shenanigans of going from point A to point B to point C to obtain this Keyblade so that we can do this strat. And basically, this is all we're going to be doing. It's a single attack, and it's just an individual finisher. Now, normally Lingering Will has 2 thresholds. Now, normally Lingering Will has 2 thresholds, one about 5 bars in, and the second one usually about now. This strat, which was discovered forever ago, I don't remember who the original discoverer was for this strat. Basically, it was found out that you can just do this strat and you can bypass everything that there is to do with the fight. This is the fastest way to do it compared to how I was doing it. The only thing I do that I have that is a little risky is having aerial dodge on, because there is that off chance that I'll accidentally do an extra circle input for my jump. But the only reason I have the aerial dodge on is so I can get from the save point to the fight quicker, because it's much faster doing aerial dodge into a glide versus a glide. And now is data.org. Data.org is very straightforward. We're going to be doing a manipulation. Show off some really cool strats here for data.org. So we're going to open up with a Thunder, Blizzard, Fire, popping a Mega. Oh, a little late. It's fine. Just going to reflect this the whole way as a backup and do this aerial strike here. Do full ground combo, go into Final Form. Final Form is our strongest form as far as the capability. I'm going to be quite familiar with this form throughout this entire thing, and we're going to be utilizing legendary is a fire boost than what it is. And it's the strongest attack pretty much known to man. So here we're going to open up straight into limit form. We're going to do hopefully a triple finisher. Not going to get it because Roxas decided not to cooperate. So instead, we're just going to follow up with a Zenitsuken, go into a full Ars, not do the finisher, do 1-2, do another full arse, not the finisher. And we're going to go back into limit form here as our backup. And finish out with another arse. The actual way, which finisher. So it'll end up starting with the Zenitsuken. A second Zenitsuken, followed by an arse. Unfortunately, he did not cooperate with us. Therefore, we had to do backup there. Larksing here, we're going to open up with a Reflect, Flash Step, Reflect, and now we're just going to do Firagas here. Pump Mega Elixir, Reflect into Firaga. The reason the Mega Elixir pop there is it adds revenge value to Larkseen, so she'll retaliate there. This is the strat I came up with for this fight. It's kind of a play on to what we do in our 80% runs. Gonna open up with a combo there, like such, and go straight into Trinity. And then I'm gonna do a full break the entire way, and then we're gonna go into limit a round of Ars Arcanum with no finisher. Then we're gonna follow up with a Zenitsuken, back into another Ars Arcanum, another round of a Zenitsuken, into our last Ars Arcanum here, and once again a Zenitsuken, revert, finisher, and then Luxord's going to go underground. We're going to play a quick card game here, going to do a full ground combo, and into Trinity. We're going to do another full break here, and then we're going to once again go into limit form and rinse and repeat with the Ars Arcanum loop until we're done. The other strat, which is much better and quicker, do yet because it's very tricky. But it's about probably I think 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. Like I said, I don't have it down at this time, but we're switching Keyblades up here because I'll crit. We kind of have to utilize. I'm a little late on that. That's fine. I have to play the safe here. Gonna reflect. Hurting. So the reason for having Mysterious Abyss here on is for the Blizzard boost. And once again, the big difference with doing crit data org versus like beginner data org, and I think probably Keyblades because of the properties that they have. Otherwise, and so like with this fight, we're going to be utilizing Hero's Crest because of the finisher, air combo finisher boost. And now we're going to get into some really cool stuff here. So we're going to... Not going to let him... There we go. So we have stagger the air combo into a Firaga blitz. Then we're gonna do 2 finishers, reset with double fire down to the ground, which allows us to reset our combo. I was a little short on damage. That's okay. trying to explain it, but that's okay. We'll just do this because he's pretty much done here. Our combo while maintaining that they're staggered. Otherwise, if Xigbar's height is too high or too low, it makes it really hard to reset. Now we're going to be doing the same thing here with Zaldin with that here. So Zaldin here is going to launch an attack. We're going to reflect it, aerial dive, pop into finisher, start with air combo here. And we're going to be kind of mashing it out because the timing is a little tight with trying to make sure you don't slide out on the ground. And just rinse and repeat with what we did with Xigbar, except this time get a cleaner kill. And once again, we're going back to Decisive Pumpkin for its property. Be able to show off a really cool strat. So here at the start, we're going to time a reflect and do an RSR. Nope, didn't quite get it. I'm going to reset this fight real quick and then hopefully show it off. Because it's really cool. The amount of damage and just the and then we're going to reflect the rest of the way here, go into limit form, immediately followed by an Ars with no finisher. We're going to do a full ground combo with the Zensuken, revert as soon as the Zensuken lands, reflect, reflect, slapshot, reflect into full ground combo for the kill. And that allows us to bypass so much because Xemnas's as a maneuver that sends you into a reaction command involving with his tower. Cool, that was actually really clean. Now I just have to hope that my triangle input doesn't drop because Riku is at 1 HP. Otherwise, we will have to do this entire sequence all over again. So let's just hope and pray that I don't have an input drop, because that would be very bad. I've actually had a couple runs when going where I'm like holding my breath because I'm like, my controller has had issues at times of dropping. Apologize. I definitely am trying to do my best to fully explain it. There is a definitely happen to go real fast and word it out at the same time. We end up kind of fumbling a little bit because we're do this. Just it's an incredible run. I really enjoy having set this. Biscuit. That was a really good split. But I got a lot of inspiration from Biscuit for doing something like level 1, like a fun little level 1 sequence of this. And I wanted to see how far I could push things with just the game in general. And so far, the answer had... he had to have broken out. This is kind of concerning. Yeah, just do that. I think we overdamaged, unfortunately. So Vexen here. To where you end up in his TM state, which can happen. But we're gonna recover here. Maybe. Okay, we're good. Oh yeah, we accidentally overdamaged him. For to be very precise with this fight in order to be able to bypass with the setup. So with Zexing here, we're gonna have to break Donald and Goofy out of the book before we can go into the strat that we want to go into, which is once again good old trusted final form. Thankfully, we got really lucky that Zexing stayed close there, because we were able to actually keep him staggered from running around, and that actually ended up being a gold fight, which is awesome. Because that fight boils down to Zexian like staying close and not running away, and popping Donald and Goofy back into a book again. Here, we're going to dodge roll, immediately go into final form, fire, reflect, fire. Gonna follow up with a fire. And preset magnet here. Gonna do that, and go into Whirligoof. Which makes me so happy to hit that in a marathon setting, because this setting, we've practiced it a number of times for our actual runs. Setting is really cool to be able to hit, because it can go wrong so quickly. Alright, so now for Syax here, we're gonna do some fires. 2 more, followed by Thunder, pop a Mega Elixir, Thunder, Thunder. Oh, we're not reflected here. That's fine. I was under damaged for stuff, so we're gonna have to improvise here. Actually, I'm just gonna reset it, because it's gonna be really tough to recover it with. That was my own fault, because I typically end up auto-reverting. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Vert. There is a way for it to be a quick kill, going into the reflect slapshot window for doing so, but if you can still get a quick kill by just following up with Mega Flare. Just got to make sure the Syax doesn't go into the air, otherwise you have to quickly pop a Mega Elixir and follow up with Thunders. And so our final fight in the run here, that's Whirligoof. Thank you, boys. It's a bit of a RNG fest here. So Demix's water clones here, this go around can only be damaged by certain attacks, which fire is a pretty good source. Same with Donald's Duck Flare here, being another good source for destroying water clones really quickly. But we're going to be utilizing We're going to be utilizing those a lot throughout this entire thing. We're going to be going through one more sequence here before Demix is broken. I'm going to save. We're just going to go platform here. These clones are running all over the place. Holy Hannah. Once we break Demix, it's just now a blitz of Firagas. We cannot full kill Demix, even though his HP is down to 1. Okay, good recovery there. But even though Demix's HP is down to 1, we still have to go through a final sequence of his water clones here. Something to be very careful about when doing limits with the duck player. If you go too soon with Donald's duck player, you can actually permanently lose Goofy, which is a known bug. It's an unfortunate glitch that can happen. It has cost me a number of runs, especially when going for the sub 45 runs at the time, and including one run when we were shooting for sub 40. And time. I kind of got caught up in talking. That is time. Okay. But I hope y'all enjoyed that run. That's been the 1.5, 2.5 Superboss rush. I'm still trying to come up with a name for it because it's not like it's not an official run yet. But I've been trying to continue to be able to showcase this off and hopefully gain momentum for folks being interested in this run. It is a bit of work to get it set up, unfortunately, but the payoff is so good because it's a very technical run and it's rewarding being able to push yourself to the limits with these kind of fights, even though you're fully geared out. But thank you all for having me, and let's give it up for our next runner.